Welcome to the Bunge Morristown Contractor Safety Training. Included in the packet, you'll find the Bunge Morristown Safety Rules. We'll look at the map for emergency evacuation. If you're on the south side of the property, you'd go to Emergency Evacuation Area 1 for fire or chemical release. If you're on the north side of the plant, you'd go to Emergency Evacuation Area 3 for fire or chemical release. And if you're working out of the front office, you'd go to the northeast corner of the parking lot at the front office at Emergency Evacuation Area 2. The next slide will display what our evacuation alarm sounds like.
Whale tone.
Next, we'll talk about severe weather shelters. If you're on the south side of the property, go straight south of the M&R building. Underneath the 10 circles there on the map, what we call a 10 pack. That's the severe weather shelter for the south side of the property. On the north side, you go straight east to the refinery underneath the meal silos, severe weather shelter for the north side. And if you're in the front office working, you would go along the west wall of the main building. Severe weather shelter for the front office. The next slide will display our severe weather alarm.
Alert tone.
An overview here of the plant map. You can see the emergency evacuation location and severe weather shelters are highlighted in the blue and the red. Again, still looking at the map. Right now we're in the M&R shop. The only place you can smoke on the south side of the property is go out the door, go to the left. There's a smoke shack right there. Hard hats must be worn at all times when outside. Even standing outside the smoke shack, you got to wear your hard hat. There's also an AED and first aid cabinet located inside this building. Go straight north of here, you get into the PSM area, the process safety management area. That's where A and B extraction is located. That's where hexane is stored. All cell phones, lighters, electronic cigarettes, Apple Watches, Fitbit watches, all that stuff has to be left behind. Do not bring it into the plant. In that area, you'll go to the second floor of the control building. That's where you'll find the control room with operators, supervisors, guys who write permits, 4 gas analyzers, AED, and a first aid cabinet. Each of there is a milling building, also a classified area, and each of there is a mill loadout. North side of the plant, you got the boiler house, the refinery. In between those two structures, there's an alleyway. You go to the second floor of the refinery, you'll find another control room with operators, supervisors, guys who can write permits, 4 gas analyzers, AED, first aid cabinet. North of there, you get to the tank farm in the southwest corner near the tank farm. The black box with the S, that is the smoke shack for the north side. 15-mile-an-hour speed limit throughout the entire plant. Besides in between the milling building and meal loadout, there's an alleyway that is a 5-mile-an-hour speed limit due to the fact that employees can walk out of those doors heading east at any time. Parking policy. Parking is north and south of the center drive lane that runs through this place near the jumbos. Do not park up against any of the silos. Nut, bolt, washer rolls off the top. Hit your windshield. We are not responsible. Sign in and sign out daily that you're here. Make sure if you leave at lunch that you sign out when you return, sign back in. That is your accountability tag, so if something does happen, we need to verify who is here, and everyone made it out of the plant. Also, when you sign in, one company representative should have a radio on them at all times when working out in the facility. You'll find those radios underneath the sign-in book in the M&R shop. 15-mile-an-hour speed limit throughout the entire plant. Seatbelts should be worn at all times when operating vehicles or PIVs. When use the preferred parking lot. Do not obstruct fire hydrants or fire lanes. And of course, training certificates required for all mobile equipment used at our facility. SDSs are located online. You come in contact with a chemical, you have concerns, let us know. We'll get you an SDS. If you're bringing any chemicals on site, you must submit that list to the safety department for approval prior to bringing it on site. 2 designated smoking areas inside the facility. If you look at the map, just to the west of the M&R shop, right outside the door to the left, the black box with the S, that is the smoke shack for the south side of the property. On the north side, the southwest corner of the tank farm, black box with the S, you will find a smoke shack at that location. Ammonia is used at our facility where large amounts of refrigeration capacity are required. Direct contact with ammonia is very hazardous, and ammonia-laden atmospheres must be avoided if you're required to work around equipment containing ammonia. Nitrogen is used at our facility. Nitrogen is always present in the atmosphere. However, pure nitrogen displaces oxygen and can incapacitate you quickly and result in death. Hexane is a solvent used in oilseed processing. It's highly explosive. It is important to control all ignition sources where hexane may be present. Again, a reminder, no cell phones, no lighters, no electronic cigarettes, no Apple Watches, no Fitbit watches into the plant. Know what type of equipment you're taking into classified areas. Grain dust hazards are given the utmost consideration at Bunge facilities. Grain dust can be highly explosive if present in sufficient concentrations and ignition sources are not properly controlled. Hot work and no smoking rules are strictly enforced. If equipment is operating improperly, it should be reported to Bunge immediately. Heavy airborne dust concentrations and rapid dust accumulations should also be reported to Bunge. All equipment used or installed in grain handling areas must be suitable for the area. This is a food grade facility, so we fall under GMPs, Good Manufacturing Practices. You'll see the following rules listed on the slide.
Chemical control and food defense. Chemicals brought into the plant must be declared and approved for use by safety and quality. A contractor chemical form must be filled out to submit for the approval for use in the plant. If using an approved chemical brought into the plant, it must also leave with you. To prevent intentional contamination of food or feed products, vehicle doors must be closed when vehicle is left unattended.
Permittable work, hot work, cutting, welding, grinding, air blowdown, confined space entry, electric, pneumatic tools, battery operated tools, all permittable work. If you're unsure of when or where a permit is required, consult with a Bunge representative. Caution tape, yellow caution, red danger. Use the appropriate tags to go along with it. Cell phones are prohibited outside of vehicles and offices. Flashlights, headlamps must be rated to be used in our facility, Class 1, Class 2. If your work takes you out to the rail yard, you must have high-vis vests. You must have a radio. You must have made contact with the control room to let them know that you're making entry out into the rail yard. If you must travel through rail handling areas, do not cross between cars which are positioned less than 10 feet apart. When working on or near rail tracks, the blue flag and derail device must be utilized. Fall protection. Anything above 4 feet is 100% tie-off. We do not accept the shock-absorbing lanyards, so they have to be the retractable types. Pre-job hazard assessments must be completed by contractors for all non-routine tasks. Please remember that no job is so important or urgent that it cannot be performed safely. If a Bunge employee approaches you with a safety suggestion, please respond respectfully and correct the discrepancy. Bunge holds the right to refuse work to anyone working unsafely or failing to follow safety policies. Safety representatives here at Morristown facility. And finally, make sure that you have signed in. One company representatives has a radio. There is a quiz that needs to be completed and submitted. And at that point, you will obtain your hard hat sticker for the current year.